You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days fans. It's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I want to talk about what is going on with Stephanie Johnson, because despite Chad DiMera's kind of douchey antics, what she did might have just one-upped him. Did Stephanie just tell Chad to hold her beer with the heartless way she walked out of his life? Let's talk about it, but first, please click subscribe if you haven't already. So we all know Chad can be a real tool sometimes. I mean, he knocked up Abigail Deveraux' sister, toxic Gwen Rizczech, and I mean, he's no E.J. DiMera in terms of villainy, but he can act pretty badly at times. I mean, for instance, the way that Chad tried to strong-arm Alex Kiriakis into staying away from his woman was pretty caveman. Kind of hot, though, you know, just for me. That's just my taste. But all it got him was a glass of water in the face from Stephanie. I do not, however, agree with how he's handled things since then. Chad has basically been escalating their relationship and plugging Stephanie into his kids' lives as a surrogate mother figure after they lost their mom, Abigail Deveraux, when Clyde Weston brutally murdered her. I mean, those kids were dealing with major trauma, and then Chad got serious with Stephanie pretty fast. Look at the timeline. Abby was killed June 13th, 2022. By early 2023, like February, I think, Chad was in bed with Stephanie, fresh off her split from Alex. And another 6 months or so later, they moved in together in July 2023, just right after, you know, the 1 year anniversary of Abby's death. And so Stephanie thought they were on track to be endgame because he was moving things forward. The kids were involved. It was like a trial marriage kind of situation. But then Chad made crystal clear he is nowhere near ready for marriage. So, all right, Chad, I get you. The love of your life died and you need time to grieve. But then don't move a woman into your house and basically use her as a replacement mommy. I think that was leading Stephanie on. You know, he never should have asked her to move in with him. That's what I think, bottom line. Ever since the whole messy deal of him saying he wasn't looking to get married anytime soon, I feel like Stephanie and Chad were on borrowed time. But if Chad doesn't want to marry her, why is he trying so hard to hang on to her? I mean, how much did Gwen's half of the Spectator cost him? That is a lot of trouble and expense to go to just to fire your current girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. I mean, if Chad had just patiently waited, Everett would have screwed things up on his own, just like Alex did. I feel like there's a good chance that Everett recycled the ring he gave Jada when they got engaged, and that might be the ring that Stephanie found in his bag that he said he bought just for her. And, you know, the ring was front and center in the photo. Also, I've seen this in the comments and then on Soap social media. Why is everybody acting shocked that Everett is Jada's ex-husband? That's been known since October when they held the annual Day of Days event. You know, they always release that mega trailer. We covered it right here with a dedicated video. It was on the Days YouTube channel, but they've since taken it down. They like to delete videos randomly out of their timeline. I don't know why. So the whole Everett Jada thing shouldn't have been a surprise, but if you were surprised, that's nice. I enjoy surprises, you know, like when I buy stuff on Amazon at 2 a.m. when I have insomnia and then I forget about it and then it shows up on my porch. It's kind of like a random present from the universe to me, only I have to pay for it on my credit card. So back to Stephanie and Chad. Chad bought half the newspaper, then he bribed Xander to fire Everett, who turned around and blamed it on Gwen, and then Gwen exposed their shenanigans, and Stephanie was livid that once again Chad had the audacity to try and remove an interloper from their relationship. I mean, let's be clear. Alex was macking on Stephanie every chance he got, showing up shirtless. Thank you for that, Rob Wilson, by the way. That shirtless action is definitely on point. So he was flirting, flaunting, and foisting himself on them. And I don't think Chad was wrong to tell him to back the heck off. As for Everett, he came to town to win back Stephanie. And even though he said he respected her relationship with Chad, he kept finding ways to pull her closer. You know, he hired her as the PR point person for The Spectator. I don't think it was an accident that she found that ring in his bag. And then he showed up at Doug and Julie's. That might have been a coincidence. Or maybe he knew where Steph would be eating her turkey and dressing and showed up at the door to make sure that he was there to make things awkward. Chad is no fool, but Stephanie also seems to want him to sit back and not protect his relationship. She thinks that he doesn't trust her. But I don't think he was in the wrong most of the time. But in the context of not wanting to marry her, knowing she wants a commitment, I think Chad should have offered her an out on the relationship so they could have ended things amicably, warned the kids. Instead, he kept trying to stake his claim while also not wanting to make things permanent. You know, that have your cake and eat it too thing. Those are mixed signals. That's selfishness in my book. So Stephanie confronted Chad about his shady move and he came clean, called himself a jealous idiot. Exactly. That's perfect phrasing. And that he felt threatened by Everett's constant presence. I mean, I have to say Chad's concerns seem viable. They seem reasonable because despite them disagreeing about the future and marriage, they are still in a relationship. And I don't think it's that Chad didn't trust Stephanie with Alex or Everett. He didn't trust those guys. And I mean, both men were not being exactly respectful. They were both coloring outside the lines. Alex was doing it in a more blatant and sexual way. Thank you again, Rob Wilson, for staying so fit. While Everett was dangling commitment instead of, what Alex was dangling. So all that aside, I still don't agree with how Stephanie broke things off with him. She left her apartment key with Alex to hand to Chad when he came home. So not only did she just walk out on him without a further conversation, she basically walked out on the two kids who care about her and who expect her to be there, tucking them in at night, helping with their homework like a mom would do. So, dump Chad without a look back? Sure, that's your business. Abruptly walk out on children who accepted you into their hearts after losing their mom is kind of heartless, right? Now, maybe Days is going to come behind this, give us a flashback and say that she talked to the kids and explained that she had to go. Something like that. We'll see. If she did that, I'll have slightly less of a problem with it. But it to me, it feels pretty sketchy for her to walk away in anger. While chatting with Chad, she just walked off abruptly. And she packed her stuff. She left her key with her other ex to hand to him. And then she ran to her parents. I have liked Stephanie Johnson a lot in the past, but I'm not liking her right now. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think it was tacky for her to leave the way she did rather than calming down, talking to Chad and saying, look, it's not going to work out. I'm tired of it. It's just, there's too many things. And then they could prepare the kids. They could let it sink in. She could gradually kind of step back. Maybe that was the way to go. Or was it better that she yanked them apart like ripping off a Band-Aid? Let me know your thoughts. Please click subscribe if you haven't already and come back soon because we're here talking about Days of Our Lives 7 days a week. And as always, this has been Belinda from Soap Dirt. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.